Welcome to So-and-So, brought to you by Bernina, made to create. I'm Meg Goodman, and you're about to enjoy a casual conversation with some very special members of the sewist and quilting community. A conversation about how they got started, what inspires them, what excites them, and their connection to this community. Just about 40 miles west of Chicago, nestled in a quiet office and industrial park, you'll find the headquarters of BERNINA of America. In one building, the heart and soul of the business hums. Sales, marketing, operations, and so much more, where a dedicated team works passionately every day to bring BERNINA's incredible sewing machines to dealers and customers across North America. But just a stone's throw away, in a building filled with inspiration and creativity, lies something truly special: BERNINA's Creative Center. On a chilly, gray January morning, we stepped inside and were immediately welcomed by the warmth of community. A small gathering of women from BERNINA dealers across the country had come together, as they do each year, to share stories, sewing tips, and business ideas, all while strengthening the bonds that make this community feel like family. In this special episode, we had the pleasure of sitting down with 4 groups of these remarkable women to learn more about their journeys, their businesses, and their dreams for the future. Their passion and camaraderie are truly what make BERNINA more than just a brand. It's a family. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we take you inside the very essence and meaning of BERNINA's Creative Center. Our day began with an enthusiastic duo who couldn't wait to share their journey with us. Meet Alyssa from New York and Jessica from Pennsylvania.
Alyssa McDonald. I have 3 store locations, one in East Aurora, New York, one in Williamsville, New York, and one in Victor, Rochester, New York.
And the name of your store?
Aurora Sewing Center.
Okay.
I'm Jessica Quitley. My store's Burn Sewing, and I'm located in New Britain, Pennsylvania.
First question I have for you is, what inspired you to open your BERNINA dealerships?
So, my mother owned the business before us, and she ran it for 25 years solo. Before that, she had business partners, so she was in business for 40 years. And then she unexpectedly passed 8 years ago, and my brother and I took over the business.
Were you part of the business
We had
before?
nothing to do with it.
How about that?
Mm-hmm.
We've got some good stories behind that. And how did you get going?
So I purchased the business from the Byrne family that started the company 40 years ago. I worked for them as a teen, and then when I got into my 20s, I took over the business after COVID and purchased it.
So there have been some life-altering moments for both of you. And let me ask about those life-altering moments and experiences. What made you step in and take over the business?
My mom had a phenomenal business, and we looked at each other and said, we got big shoes to fill, but we know it's a great business and she's done a great job. So let's just quit our jobs and careers and take it over.
And you haven't looked back since?
Have not looked back since.
And how about you?
So I think it was just my passion for owning a business. I had been involved in the company for a really long time before I purchased it. So when they were ready to retire, I wanted it to keep going.
Were you both sewists? Well, you worked in the store. Were you both sewists?
No, I was not. She tried and I rebelled because I was a teenager.
Sure.
But now it's pure passion and I love it.
What, do you have any memories of your early days as a dealer, stories that you can share with us? And they can be challenges, funny moments, aha moments, but good stories about those early days.
My early days, because we were so green, we had a phenomenal team to show my brother and I how to run the business because we knew nothing. So there were a lot of tears for many reasons, but there were a lot of laughs because we really did fall on our face because we knew nothing what we were supposed to be doing. But now looking back, we've created a even better team between my brother and I, because yes, being in business with a sibling can be a little challenging at times, but it's brought us closer.
When you took over the business, did you have 3 stores or did you open more after you took them over?
So we only had 2 stores, and then we opened up our 3rd store 2 years ago.
Okay. Things are going well.
Things are going very well.
your stories.
So I would say when I bought the business, I thought all of my employees would leave me. I thought they would just run because I was their manager for a really long time. So I thought, oh God, this is going to go really awful. But they all stayed with me. And through the ups and the downs, they've really put up with a lot of, especially somebody so young, learning, not only how to run a business, but learn this industry as a whole. So they put up with a lot of stuff. So we have a lot of just new learning experiences every day, which is, a laugh in itself.
So let's talk about your biggest challenges and triumphs.
Daily. Working with the dealers or with the companies of the machines and what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. Staffing is a challenge every day. Keeping people involved, keeping them happy is challenging at times. Getting enough sleep is a challenge as being a business owner, but you work through it. And at the end you go, we got through this week. Let's try another one.
Challenges, triumphs.
Yeah,
your staff didn't leave.
They didn't leave. That was my biggest achievement here after my couple of years. I definitely think it's anticipating the market and knowing what your customers want all the time. And with the economy changing and different things going on, to always be ahead of them is really something that I found difficult. That over the last couple of years, I think I've gotten much better at knowing what my customers want all the time and what I think the industry is going towards. So
how do you do that?
Biggest thing. I think just kind of staying on top of trends, Pinterest, Instagram, seeing the next thing that is to come. And the companies are really good about sharing what they're coming out with in the future, which makes it easier for us to figure out what our customers are going to want and what we want them to want.
So this is a good lead in for the next question. How has the sewing, quilting, embroidery industry changed since you first got involved with what you're doing?
I mean, what we've had to do was go virtual. I mean, that was a huge change for us due to COVID, but then trying to still reach people and keep them engaged in sewing so they didn't stop, and trying to reach younger people. So we do a lot of virtual classes and shopping. I mean, that is the new way. Yeah, people are still coming in, but you can reach past your demographics by just your locals and reach further out by doing all the virtual. And that was a huge learning curve for us.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Alyssa on that one. I think COVID really challenged people as business owners. And when I purchased my business, it was in the midst of COVID, kind of coming out of it. So it was kind of learning the new normal and anticipating that. But I think now that we've gotten past all of that and people went virtual and knew how to do that and be able to survive that way, I think it's cool to actually bring them back to do very traditional things like in-person shopping and forcing them to come in to get all of the product and your experience and expertise rather than just seeing you on a screen. Like bring back the traditional brick and mortar store that I think so many small businesses need to survive with.
Absolutely.
Now we're here at a BERNINA retreat. What aspects of being a BERNINA dealership bring you the most joy or fulfillment?
I think being with all these ladies and talking business and seeing what works in their stores and what challenges they've run into, and collaborating and having laughs about it, but also teaching each other on, hey, we had this event and this worked, but this didn't. I think this is the best thing that I was forced to do.
Yeah, now there's a story in that.
Yeah.
So when you say forced, how did you come to be here then?
So Denise was like, your mom used to do this, you should join us. And I was a nervous wreck. Like, I felt like I was still the new girl on the block and I didn't know how to respond to that. And I literally last year was going to say, I'm not coming because I was so worried about it. But then coming, and it's so chill, and we talk business, but we sew, and it's like a new family. Like, you're like in the in crowd, which I hate saying that, but that's how you feel, right? Like, oh, now I can totally go up to them when we're at BU and have a conversation, and they're not going to go, who's this chick? You're feeling like part of the family, which is what I really do love about this business that I'm in, is your family. When you're in, you are in, and you can reach out to anybody for help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's difficult. And I think you can relate when you purchase a business, but you didn't grow up. And I mean,
Yes.
you know, your mom had the store for so long. So when you took it over, you were just kind of thrown into it, and to feel like you didn't grow up in it. Like a lot of the other ladies that are here at this retreat, you're like, how am I ever going to be that knowledgeable and that good with my business? So I think coming to these things really help feel like you're not alone in your struggles in your business. You come and you chat, and you commiserate together about your daily struggles, and be like, you know what, I'm not the only one that deals with these things, or how do they deal with this, or what works great for them, and how can we all be successful together.
So you both will be here again in the future.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Bernina's a very unique company. You were talking about family, which is important. Why do you think customers are so passionate about the brand?
The quality, the education. We've been a Bernina dealer for 40 years, and once you're a Bernina owner, you're always a Bernina owner. Like,
Yeah.
I grew up on it, and
For sure.
I'm like, yes, we will have other brands, and yes, but no, I still have a Bernina at home.
Okay.
Same on that one. For sure. I think it's just a standard in people's lives, and it brings them back to the sewing machines that they were taught how to sew on, like the old Singer machines, the featherweights that were really built to last. And I feel like nowadays you don't find things that are really built to last a long time. And when you buy a Bernina, it's an investment into your hobby, because you know it's going to last 20, 30, 40 years. So I think that's really what brings people back to Bernina. And they're different. Like, their machines are just different. And they can feel it.
So let's talk about the future. What are your hopes or plans for the future of your dealerships?
I'm going to say our hopes and future is to still be here, to grab the younger clientele, keep them engaged, and hope that they continue with the sewing, experience that has been going on for generations, and also grow our online, grow our brick and mortar, maybe have another store in the future. We'll see what happens.
You're crazy. Crazy. I think, yeah, very much so. You want to still be here, be able to survive the next couple decades worth of it, and to say you came out in the end of it. So I think there's a lot of goals and dreams mixed into those next couple decades, but to be able to pass this legacy on to, say, my kids or somebody else like me that has a passion for the company, not see it die, have it celebrate a 200-year anniversary.
I agree. Fill the legacy, like we're filling my mother's legacy. I hope one of my children or my brother's children fill our legacy. Absolutely.
Keep it going. They spent decades building the foundation for these companies, and we owe it back to them to let it keep going and build this empire they spent so long doing.
Bernina began and remains a family-owned business. And so many families, generations of them, are now part of the Bernina family. Meet mother and daughter, Marilyn and Denise.
So my name's Marilyn Gattinella. Our store is close to home. It's in Connecticut, and I'm from New Jersey.
Okay.
My name is Denise Lopez. I'm from Nuttles in Salt Lake City, Utah, originally from Connecticut.
And the unique part of our conversation today is we have a mom and a daughter together. Marilyn is Denise's mom, and these stories will be interesting. It'll be nice to share these. So let's go to the beginning. What inspired you to open the dealership that you have?
So as our children were entering school, my husband and I were talking about my next step. Did I go back to teaching school? Did I find a job? And he always wanted to be a business owner. He felt that was the way to be independent in life, was to own your own business. And for a while, he dragged me to different seminars about this kind of business and that. And one day he went with me to a quilt shop in our area, and he just stood back and watched all the women buzzing around. And he said something to me as we got in the car that he says every once in a while, "Why can't we do that?" And so that was it. So we started in a very small location. Denise was about to enter kindergarten. And in fact, she waited for the bus right outside of our store. And so I was the nice lady in the store, and my husband was doing all the business things. So he did all the, writing the checks and that kind of stuff. And so that was the start.
And how many years ago was that?
So that was in 1982.
Okay.
So we're approaching 43 years.
A lot, very successful.
This is all new information for me too. Some of it.
You knew you were in kindergarten and you got on the bus.
I spent a really lot of time at the Glastonbury quilt shop.
So, and Denise, if you would take it from there and tell us your story about what you do now.
So when I was like in high school and stuff, I worked in the store and helped cut fabric, probably taught some classes. And then when I left for college, came back from college, worked in the store more full-time, kind of permanently, sort of moved around a little bit. I opened my own close to home location in actually Worcester, Mass. For about 6 years I was there. I started that when I was 26, so that was a big step. And then I met my now husband, Eric. We were friends for a long time, and then I ended up moving to Salt Lake. We got married. Well, yeah, got engaged, moved, and now I work at Nuttles. And that's a whole nother family business, so lots of dynamics.
So where did you meet him?
Oh, yeah, and we met actually, yes, we met at BERNINA convention in Dallas. It was my second BU and his first. And yeah, you know, there weren't a lot of 20-somethings at BU back then. Now there seems to be a lot younger people, or we're just getting older, I'm not sure. But yeah, we hung out a lot because, like I said, there weren't very many other people around our age. So yeah, apparently have a lot in common.
So the dynasties grew.
Mm-hmm.
And you met at BERNINA University.
Yep.
That's great. So do you have some special moments from your early days as a dealer that you'd like to share with us? Maybe challenges, triumphs, proud moments, but in those early days, any memories from that?
The 990 is kind of a big deal of recent. We, the pre-sales just happened. Well, we got a phone call that we were going to get 67 990s delivered one day. And our plan of getting 3 at a time kind of escalated.
Kind of.
Yeah. So our plan was to open every box, sew every machine off, and call our customers because they were super excited and get them out. Well, when we found out that 67 machines were coming, we needed to call in some reinforcements. So we're going to bring this story full circle because we have an 11 and a 13-year-old son now, and they're little mini versions of my husband and I. So they came to the store and they helped sew off the machines and program every customer's name into their new 990. And yeah, that was a pretty cool experience because my younger son kind of followed me around the store because I had to do some other things that same day. And I was working with some customers and he's like, "Mom, you're really good with the customers." They don't really see us in the actual environment. They see us behind the scenes. And when we get home at night talking about, what went on during the day, but they don't actually see us like in it. So
Sure.
that was kind of a fun day for us. It was a lot of work, but everybody's happy. Yeah.
It's a pretty unique way to get the next generation involved, and they didn't even know it, right? So,
they know it. Well, it's funny because they go to visit Grandma and Grandpa in Connecticut, and there's just sewing machines everywhere. So they didn't know that there were other occupations when they were a little younger. They thought everybody has sewing machines everywhere they look. So now they know. Now they know there's more to life than sewing. But yeah.
So you both have been involved in this industry and touching it for many years. How has it changed since you first opened your doors? And Denise, what changes have you seen? Certainly, there's been evolution.
Oh, that's a tough one. Changes, well, somebody used the expression ebb and flow. Sewing comes and goes. The ages of our customers are increasing, and that's always been the way it is. And so we're always looking to bring in new customers, young people. What we sew varies. I would say right now, the biggest change in my life is that all the samples that I worked on for 40 years are now popular techniques again. They're new, so I can bring them out, clean them up, refresh them with something, and they're new to the new customers. So
Old trends come back.
really, so many people never heard of Prairie Points or I don't know what else. Yeah, it's new.
Sure.
So I'm gonna be forever young, right?
I think for me, probably the biggest thing that's changed over the years is technology. I remember, I've been going to Bernina convention for 20 plus years, and Facebook was like all the talk several years ago. Like, do you have a Facebook page for your business? And these mostly women, right? Business owners, quilters, that turned into suddenly business owners are like, I don't know how to start a Facebook page. I don't know how to get on Facebook. And now we're on Instagram, and now we're on having online stores and TikTok videos and podcasts and stuff. So technology has changed a lot. And sewing machine dealers, Bernina dealers in particular, have gotten a lot more savvy with technology. And sewing machines have gotten bigger and more technologically advanced. So I would say that's probably the biggest change I've seen in my time.
Have you had to make any adjustments in your business or the way you do business to keep up with industry trends or customer needs? And what are some of those?
So I think the availability of information and the increasing capability of local community centers, adult education, the libraries are becoming more eager to capture customers. They're capturing our customers, and they might be teaching them quilting, sewing, and it's a challenge to get those potential customers in our doors. So I'm going to the library to teach classes to try to attract people. I'm going to the community center, teaching through the adult education, and I have the time. So it's a little different than when she was a kid. So, but I'm going there as a promoter, as a magnet. Maybe they say, oh, I guess I could learn something from a real quilting teacher rather than, one of your neighbors is teaching you, or the internet is teaching you, or your guild is teaching you.
Sure. You both are Bernina dealers. What about being a Bernina dealer brings you joy and fulfillment?
For me, I've known fellow Bernina dealers and employees at Bernina, some of them for as long as I can remember. So, I've known Jeannie for probably 30 years. So, these people saw me when I was little, and then when I was bigger, and then when I met my husband, and then when I was pregnant, and then when I have kids, and it's like, it's family. So, and then, we're here today with a group of women from all over the country that have become our little families as well. So yeah, it's a bond stronger than any other sewing machine brand that I've ever been a part of. So yeah, something special for sure.
So when I had my first little 250 square foot store, I had an old sewing machine that my father picked up at a yard sale. And I said to myself, I need something a little nicer. And I knew that Bernina was the best that you could buy. And what the heck, I thought I deserved to have the best. And when I went to the local dealer, he kind of wanted to sway me in a different direction, even though he was an authorized Bernina dealer. Tried to sway me in a different direction. And at that point, it made me more desirous of the product. So I think that was it. And at the time, because he was within a very close range, and because he was authorized, it was a fight. And I took it to the president of the company at that time, and I really hounded the sales force until they finally relinquished, and we got the dealership. So it just had a certain cachet, and I wanted to be part of that.
Let's talk about the future of your businesses. What are your hopes for where you will be in the future?
So we have 2 sons who are also in the business. They have their own stores in Connecticut. At one point, we were dealers in Joann's stores. We had a store, as Denise said, in Massachusetts. We had a second store. Actually, we had a couple of stores in Massachusetts. We had one on Long Island. So we had a pretty big empire going. But now we're down to the 3 stores. So our Gattinellas are managers / owners of the businesses. And they have kids. So who knows? But the kids are very accustomed to being in their stores, in the parents' stores. And so we can hope that the Gattinella name will live on in infamy in Bernina land.
Our business, my mother-in-law was the sole owner of Nuttles for a handful of years. She purchased the company from the original owner. That's where the word name Nuttles comes from. The original owner's name was Norm Nuttall. So she purchased the business from him. My husband and I transitioned into ownership a handful of years ago, and over the last couple of years, there's been more transition. So this is a new year, 2025. There are, three of my husband's siblings, all 3 of my husband's siblings have now also transitioned into small parts of ownership of our company. So ownership has grown and the company has grown. All of it has grown a lot, and everybody's involved in one way or another. We have the next generation. I have some nieces. A nephew-in-law also works for our company. So it's definitely a very big family operation. So yeah, I think that's the next step. So we'll see how this transition goes. But that's how our family events always turn out to be a little Nuttles meeting at the same time, which I try to separate from that. But
Sure,
it's always there. It's always been there for sure.
Well, I'm crazy proud of our daughter.
Proud of you too, Mama.
And we love Eric, and that's probably the only real reason how I could be without her. He's a wonderful guy, great husband. He's very kind to Ron and I. Yeah, she's amazing.
Thank you. You're pretty amazing too.
Across different states and generations, the passion for sewing unites Bernina dealers in unique ways. Jess and Jenny, with their stories in Iowa and Montana, share their experiences, some strikingly similar, and others uniquely their own.
Jess Radisky, Red Roxy Quilt Company, Decorah, Iowa.
Jenny Yannon, Helena, Montana, The Sewing Palace.
What inspired you to either open or acquire your dealership? What are the stories of the genesis of what you do?
You go.
I was going to tell you the same thing.
She beat you to it.
Dang it.
So my mom and I purchased our store 12 years ago, and it was kind of a complete on the whim. She had always wanted to open a fabric store. She's been obsessed with fabric. She was in law enforcement for 23 years, and I was in banking my previous career, and the shop came up for sale in our town. And she called me and said, the shop is for sale. And I said, well, let's look at it and see the numbers. And 3 months later, we were owning a quilt shop and Bernina dealership.
That's a great story.
That's awesome.
That is.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought your mom started it and then you. That's cool.
We bought it together, and then she retired 3 years ago.
And now it's you.
How cool
now
is
it's
that?
me.
Did her law enforcement background come in handy of managing the wild people that quilt
Dealing
and
with
sew?
shoplifting, yes.
And employees.
Funny, not funny.
Jenny, how about you?
My mom started the business in 1995, and I'm not trained in retail. I'm a marine biologist, actually, by trade. And so I was practicing marine biology, and my mom started in 95 and started fabric and then added Bernina. And then over time, my career moved me around to different places, and my husband fortunately followed me. And we ended up in New Orleans as our last. And he said, I'm done. I want to move back to Montana. So he got in the car and he said, you want to come or not? So I went home, and a marine biologist in Montana, it's not a great career
Not much to do.
choice. So my mom said, do you want to cut some kits? And I started cutting kits, started working in the shop. And over time, I started going to BU, doing some business training, getting more involved, and actually enjoyed it. I got the quilting bug, and it was all over. And she slowly saw the writing on the wall and started making planning for her exodus. And I took over in 2008 and have been running the store since. So second generation.
Do you have any special memories of the early days in the store?
Special memories. Well, I loved working with my mom. That was fun. It also posed challenges working with your parents, but I got to see her every day and, learn how she got Rookie of the Year when she started. And it was kind of neat to see that development and how she did that. So that's a special memory for me. Challenges, there's one every day as a business owner, I swear. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think I can echo that. And I don't think you realize it until my mom had surgery in September. And so she's been out of the shop for 3 months or 4 months now going on. And you look back and think, you just can't take that time away that you had with your mom.
Yeah.
And as challenging as it is to work side by side every day, it's also, again, those times you can't take away, especially when I know there's dealers here that don't have their mom anymore. So
yeah.
So
that probably the top of mine. When you say challenges, you need to get a pen and paper.
Start
we don't have enough time.
I'm telling you, it's like, damn.
Well,
Beep.
Well,
Yeah, sorry. Beep.
Let's talk about challenges and the evolution of the industry. In your tenure doing what you do, how have you seen the industry change?
Modern quilting, for me, has changed maybe a little bit more how I'm going to market. Maybe I want to reach a younger generation. Having a lot more variety of that modern quilting look in the store. When I first started, it was very primitive, lots of browns and a little more country feel. And so that has been an evolution since my mom started. So modern quilting. And then just trying to reach that younger generation of sewists so they'll come into your store and think about Bernina or any other products you carry.
Yeah, I think just keeping true to your identity as a store of not worrying about what other shops are doing around you, but looking at what we have done to cultivate our identity as a shop, as not only a quilt shop, but a Bernina dealer, and why people entrust us with their purchase of their new machine, and what can we do to continue that for current and new customers.
Sure. So you've identified some of the things that have changed. You talk specifically about getting the younger generation involved. Are there some significant things that you have done to address some of these evolutions in your store?
One that I have done, I think I've been doing it for probably about 8 years, is I've went out to the community college in our town, and they have a adult education program that they offer. And I started teaching at the college, not at my store, but at the college, and have a course curriculum. So I advertise in their course catalog. And I've reached a totally different market that isn't, they don't know about this amazing industry of sewing and quilting. And my store might be a little intimidating to them just because it's so specialized, and we are all diehards, So it's a little different to go to a college and you're with other people that maybe haven't sewn for 30 years, or a younger group that never got to learn how to sew. There's a huge group of people like that their mom never learned, and so now they don't know how to learn or have a venue to learn unless it's grandma. So the community college has been a good outreach to hopefully get, and then they know who I am, and then they know who the store is, and there's a more welcoming path, I feel like, for them to, well, come in, I'll see what you're about, and then hopefully give them the quilting bug or the sewing bug. Yeah.
That's awesome. Jess, how about you?
I think the biggest thing is just trying to keep in front of them in any way, shape, or form, whether it's Facebook Lives, whether it's, constant emailing, videos, being present in the community as well, working with other retailers in our town. Whereas I'm in small rural Iowa, so it kind of presents its own challenges, but yet it's also kind of blissful because we're a destination and our town is a destination, and taking advantage of that tourism aspect to our town, and being a destination of why people come to Decorah.
How big is Decorah?
8,000 people.
Oh, okay.
And where in Iowa?
Way northeast corner.
Northeast. Okay. All right.
Yep.
So you both are Bernina dealers. What is it about being involved with Bernina as a dealer that brings you joy and fulfillment? Why do you like working with them?
Well, I love the product, but when I first started in the business with my mom, we had the most amazing course that was Better Business Training with Tom Justick. And they had education to not only learn how to sew, but how to be a business person, how to do social media, how to work with employees, I didn't have that education. So Bernina provided a lot of those resources as a company. And it was also family owned. I mean, I've been to Mr. Ulchi's house. He's given me a bottle of wine at his house. How cool is that? You know what I mean? That's how many people can say that for an industry that they necessarily work in. It's more hometown. I like that.
Yeah, I think for sure, having the great opportunity of going to both factories, the home factory in Switzerland and in Thailand, and of course here at BERNINA of America in Aurora, and just being able to talk to anyone within the company. They always are willing to listen, and whether it's Mr. Ulchi, Paul Ashworth, anybody, it's truly a family, and I think that's it. Obviously having owned the shop with my mom, we're farmers on my home farm, like understanding the family and knowing that this is a family company that is going to stay that way, is awesome. And being we're only Bernina dealer, I think you are as well, Jenny. So it is, it's awesome to be able to say that.
What are your hopes for the future of your dealerships?
That it carries on, that I can have a next generation move in and carry on the business, which I have planned. I have in place. She's wonderful, and she's just having a baby. So my hope is that eventually that will move forward, because I'm a second generation, and I'd love to have a third generation in there. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think the same. I don't have children, but I have maybe a couple of nieces that probably were like me, like in their 20s, 30s. You're going to own a quilt shop? Are you kidding me? But I think if they can look at me and see, I think I can epic some success of being a woman business owner and things that we've accomplished that they can maybe look up to and be like, hey, maybe someday that is for me.
Want to do that?
So,
Be a role model for them.
Yeah.
In our conversation, is there anything else you'd like to add? Questions I didn't ask while we're here talking?
Well, Michael came over the other day, and I was eavesdropping about how it's such a amazing industry with women. A lot of women owned, a lot of women involvement, it's just a powerful force of showing we're a pretty good force to deal with, and we're pretty amazing. And my mom owned it, and I'm owning it. I just think that's cool that we're such a successful business, and definitely having men in the business is crucial, but I just think it's cool that it's such a women powered industry.
And to come together, to be able to come together in instances like this, where we're hosting our
Totally.
own little
Yeah.
dealer retreat, to also coming together at BU and seeing our friends that we haven't seen for a year, or maybe it's been a year because someone couldn't come the previous year. It is truly a family, I think, and that it makes it special, and proud to be a Bernina dealer.
Yeah.
In the spirit of collaboration and community, we handed the mic to Maggie Urso, Bernina's marketing manager for social media. With her lively energy and deep connection to the brand, Maggie guided a spirited conversation with sisters Tracy and Debbie, along with Dari, a cherished member of the Nuttles dealer family.
Nuttall Sewing Center, Dari Antesh, Utah.
Debbie Meziol, Linda Z Sewing Center, Arlington Heights, Illinois.
Tracy Freund, Arlington Heights, Illinois, Linda Z Sewing Center.
Tracy and Debbie, you two are sisters.
Right.
Linda Z's. How did you get involved with the dealership?
Oh, I was born into it.
Picking up pins when we were little girls.
Right. So our mom did start it in 1967, so that was before I was born. So I really was born into the business. And
I wasn't.
What kind
They
of,
made
though?
me do it after I was.
Well, she was already making the lingerie book at the University of Minnesota.
Okay, so I was born into the business.
You were, because she was already sewing and needed a Bernina sewing machine, and that's where she got into the Bernina business.
Because she usually says she's born into the business, but I'm not. But then that's really nice of you to say that I also was born into the business today.
Were. Yeah.
You're welcoming her
This
in
is
now.
a good day.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a good moment.
It's a good moment.
Love that. And it was always something you wanted to do, or was it something that, was kind of just expected?
It took our mom away from us mostly because
Right.
she was very, 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 busy with the store and
was.
loved it.
Yeah.
And, but I mean,
I actually graduated from college and went down to the Chicago Board of Trade, and I was a broker's assistant for my dad and his business for many years, and I thought I was going to take over that business. And then my mom's manager had a family emergency, and she had to move out of town, and so I just gave her a year, and that turned into 34.
yeah.
That was 1992, so
Yeah.
I guess it was 30.
And at that time, I
And
lived
you were
in France already.
Yeah.
And then the subprime industry happened, subprime crash, the real estate crash happened.
She was in the banking industry at that point.
Right. So my bank bit the dust basically, and they were laying off everybody. And so they.
But they didn't lay you off.
No,
had a
I
good
was.
severance.
I had a very good severance,
Yeah.
and I helped everyone else get good severances too. But yeah, so mom's like, come back, take over the business. I'm going to be
You're like,
retiring.
Your kids are getting old enough. You can leave
That
France
was-
now.
And that was 13 years ago now. That was in 2012. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to retire.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
not retired still, not yet.
yeah.
We're working on that.
Yeah.
Understandable.
So really,
Sorry.
we kind of
No?
became the business, not knowing we were gonna, and we absolutely love it though.
Yes.
I love the
Yes.
everything I thought about where I was gonna be in 1992 is exactly where I'd want to be right now.
How did you get involved with Nuttles?
I was born into it like these guys.
Okay, so we have a group that was born into the dealerships.
Pretty much.
I just realized that this morning. But no, I'm kidding.
That's wonderful.
My mom.
Okay.
She started working for Norm Nuttall when I was 2.
Okay.
So that's how just brought us right along with her. So
I'm going to ask you the same question then. Was it something that you, like owning the dealership, was this something you wanted, or was it something that was expected?
we wanted it. We talked about it forever since she started deciding she was going to buy the business. So yeah,
Lots of kids involved in the business too.
there is.
It's a wonderful
please
family.
tell me more
Their
about that.
family
How
is
many
so
kids are involved in the business?
There's 4 of us, 3 brothers and me.
Are you older, younger?
I'm the baby.
That's awesome.
And then we have the sister-in-laws, the nieces, the nephews, the whole family's involved. So
That sounds like such a fun situation.
it can be. No, it is. We love it.
Awesome. Now, because you guys were all born into this, can you share some memories from your early days as a dealer?
I can start. So, because I'm the oldest here. Is that right?
Yeah.
Grandpa Cooper. So Grandpa Cooper is my mother's grandfather. He was my godfather, and he used to take me on his lap because he was in the repair area of the store back in the 70s.
So he was a retired TWA mechanic, and so my mom started the business, but then she did bring her father and her grandfather in. So
and her brother and her mother also.
So there's multi-generational people in the business, even though she's the one that actually started it.
So the memory was that he would take me on his, Grandpa Dean would too, which was his son-in-law. So our grandfather, Tracy, and our grandfather, he would take us on his lap. Do you remember going on Grandpa Cooper's lap too?
Yeah.
And he'd open up the Bernina 830 and he'd say, Debbie, the red dots are where you put the oil. Mm-hmm. Do you guys know the 830, the old 830? The record? And he'd just, you could just pop it open and he'd put the dots and he'd show me where to oil the machine. And I'd be like, oh, I know how to oil a Bernina now. So seriously, that was my childhood.
And he had Pringles in the bottom drawer.
And when we
always,
he would really, really treat us to ice cream and stuff when we'd go to the store.
Right.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, there's a lot of memories in different ways, but it was. I always picked up pins, and I think they dumped more pins so that we could have more pennies and things like that. But it was really fun just to be around the store on a Saturday.
We're about a 4-year difference, right? So, but do you remember also like hiding in the lingerie fabric racks?
Yeah.
Like we would hide, like tents, like we would hide in there.
Oh,
do you ever do that too when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Dari did too. Yeah. So we would be like, we have to go home.
Right.
Let's go hide in the fabric.
And I cleaned all the bathrooms. Well, the one bathroom, I should say.
That's amazing.
A lot of comments.
Yeah, right.
That's amazing. And Dari, I see you nodding your head over here. So please, what memories can you share with us?
Always Saturday. We always worked on early bird Saturday. Mm-hmm. We'd have to be there at 7:00 in the morning, passing out the yellow tickets at the door for all the early shoppers. And the donuts and all that. And we did the Easter egg one where they would run and find Easter eggs that had different percentages off of fabrics, notions, all that. And did that every single year. That was how, and then we always did inventory, me and my brothers. So. Very young age.
Now, going off that, that sounds like a bit of a challenge there. Would you be able to share, we'll start with Dari over here and we'll come back, what your biggest challenges and triumphs have been with the dealership?
Just trying to get everybody to agree on everything.
Okay. Fair.
And your triumph? Yeah. How about a triumph?
That we're getting agreed.
You have been agreeing on everything. This is good. That's good. What would you say, Tracy?
Triumphs and challenges. Mm-hmm. I think we've grown our business every year for the last since 1967. Mm-hmm. So I think we've only had maybe one that was kind of a flat year, and so that's really something to be triumphant and proud of. Our dad is fully supportive of this business too, and letting my mom be, as we call, married to the business, because he's Mr. Lindsay, and he's the kind of the silent sleeper in keeping everything cohesive as well. So.
He used to do all the shows, like load the trucks and unload the trucks and help do the booths.
Yeah, now
he doesn't do that anymore.
Arizona bound, and they love being in Arizona for 4 months out of the year and stuff like that. But I would say that the challenges would be just the growing business as well. Right. Because you're always trying to reinvent, like, the pockets, like right now we're shipping, and the shipping is UPS, the damaged product or whatever. I mean, there's always the solution, trying to find the solution to like how to make that more seamless.
Definitely. So. Now, you started with this from being such young ages to where we're at. How has the sewing, quilting and embroidery industry changed since you guys first started to understand what was going on?
Well, we would have drawers and drawers and drawers of patterns at the store. Mm-hmm. Did you go through that?
Yes.
My grandma would go, okay, Debbie, go pick a pattern and we'll make that.
Right, quick sew.
Go through
whatever
the first,
or whatever
it was. I mean, and I would be like, she was just trying to keep me occupied while she was teaching a class or something, right? And she'd be like, and I would go.
Yes,
for
our grandmother
hours.
was a teacher there too, so it was all in the family.
Trying to find something that she could make me.
Right.
And I would literally look at every pattern.
Right.
But now there are no patterns anymore. Mm-hmm. We just don't have
digital,
those patterns anymore.
More digital, yeah.
Everything's sort of digital, and
we have patterns in our store, believe me. But
I would take the approach of, oh, I like that, what I see in a photo, and I could actually draw it out on some draping or pattern. You could make things without a pattern base these days. Nowadays, you get a pattern out of it. Make a pattern out of a existing garment and that kind of thing. But it's amazing the amount of types of sewing. And then we run into people all the time that people still sew.
Right.
Yeah.
But just going
That's
from
the
the,
reaction you get.
going
Yeah,
from the
they do.
mechanical to the embroidery to the cams and the Viking, like 990, was that what it was called? Or whatever it was. And
The
just
original?
those cams. I just never I remember like putting the cam in the 70s and I'm like, and it does a stitch. Like now it's just like if you just push a button and it's just and then just the embroidery cards, going from like the Deco 500 to like what we have now. It's just, and from sergers, from the Burnett 234D to L890, it's like, it is such a crazy amount of innovation. That has happened.
Bravo, Bernina. Yep.
Yeah. So
Very good.
What aspects of working with the dealership bring you the most fulfillment?
I like just being with our staff and our people. I think that just having that community is really, the sewing community in itself is very, like, we give to them and they give back to us more.
It's really crazy
so
how they
I
give
don't
back.
feel,
It's true.
I can't explain that. It's really an
It's a
amazing
community,
feeling.
yeah.
And sometimes I feel like somebody walks in the door and I see her talking to maybe one of our fabric cutters, and you can just hear in her voice she just wants to be like part of it. And then like we go over there and see her project, and then she feels fulfilled, and we feel fulfilled because we can't imagine what she's even doing this.
Yeah, it's really good stuff.
So
a lot of good
I guess
projects.
that is probably the best thing I have in my day.
And not only the new people that have never seen us before, because that's always like a joy to see new faces all the time.
Right.
That's what we all love, right?
Yeah.
And then it's also oh, hi Bob, how you doing today? Oh, good to see you again. And the people,
Right.
Kay and the different people who come back almost every day.
Right.
Definitely.
And we love to see that too. To have friends that we can call them friends. These people.
Yep.
Yep.
Call them family. That's how our work
That's right.
is.
That's right.
You're not just our worker, you're our family.
Yeah, for sure.
That's our motto.
What to you makes Bernina unique, and why do you think that there are those customers that you guys have that are so passionate about the brand?
It's the history of
Yeah.
the family-owned business.
Yeah, I would say for us, it's a generational thing at Lindsay's. So we have someone that that went to Hersey High School. They had a Bernina classroom there, okay? And they literally were taught on a Bernina. And then their mom bought them a Bernina because she had a Bernina. And then now the granddaughter and the great-granddaughter are coming back for a Bernina. So, like, so there's a generational
Because
thing.
they're really
name,
cool,
yeah.
like the different
Yeah.
colors.
And
that
I
have
know
come out.
you guys
Yeah.
have that at Nuttall's too. And then
They just love to collect Berninas. People
Yeah.
do. Keep making the unique, the ones that have, the designers that come up with.
All the
So-
special editions.
Yeah,
Special
it's kind of
editions.
funny
They want to
because
collect
They
them all.
collect them.
They do.
Yeah,
Right,
They do.
and we
They do.
We have 6 service techs full time in our service department, and they are pros at of repairing Berninas. But sometimes I'm like, they need to get a new one, okay?
Right. Well, because they just bring it into the spa, quote unquote. It's not necessarily that it needed repairing.
No,
It's just that it
just
needs
needs some love.
That's
love, an update or two,
I guess
whatever
what
it
we're
needs.
saying
Yeah.
is that we're just happy that they
To buy new.
Yeah, and that the Berninas are lasting that long.
Yes.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is very
They
cool.
do.
Yeah, definitely. What are your hopes and plans for the future of your dealerships?
To keep growing.
Yeah,
Keep moving
I would say the
forward.
same. Keep growing.
Keep growing.
Yeah, and keep it a family business.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, keep it family
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's
We have the next generation already working there, so and you do too.
So do we.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of exciting.
really quick, I want to ask, how many generations are you at now?
Well, it goes up from my mom because her father and grandfather were there, but they didn't own the business. She just hired them to come in after they retired from their other jobs.
So 5.
So that would be.
Do you have 5 also?
5 too.
Yeah,
yeah,
5 also.
So
5
we're
generations.
Yeah.
So both 5 generations
Yes.
at Lindsay's and Nuttall's.
Correct.
Wow, I love that. That's incredible.
Even distance couldn't keep us from hearing the heartwarming insights of Dory's mom, Rhonda Lopez, who couldn't attend this event in person, but joined us remotely from Salt Lake City, proving that the Bernina family knows no boundaries.
Rhonda Lopez, and our dealership is Nuttall Sewing Centers, and we have 4 locations in Utah along the Wasatch Front. So
Rhonda, thank you for talking to us today. This is really a family thing. We've talked to several members of your family, and we're thrilled that you were able to join us remotely today. So let me start at the beginning. What inspired you to become a Bernina dealer, and just tell us about the beginning.
Well, I really started in the sewing industry. My mom sewed professionally when I was younger, but I didn't sew at all until I started having children. And I had 3 boys, and that was back when designer jeans was the popular thing. And of course, we were, you know, young families starting out, couldn't afford those kind of things. So I took a class and learned to make them. In the process of that, there was a Bernina store in our area, Nuttall Sewing Centers, and they had a program where, as an instructor, I was able to borrow a machine from them, and I would take the machine to my classes. And when somebody was trying to work on their pair of designer jeans and their machine didn't handle the denim well or whatever, I would say, well, here, use mine while I see if I can get yours working. It was a very, very subtle sales opportunity. And if they were interested in a new machine, then I had the ability to take them into the store location and sell them. So that was really where I got started. They Nuttles put a store near my home and asked if I would be willing to teach in the store. And eventually I started managing the store. And I kind of say if you stick around long enough, they just put you responsible for more and more until all of a sudden you own the company. So I eventually had the opportunity to buy into just one of the locations that we had when it opened. And that really started my ownership career. Um, as the gentleman who previously owned it, Norm Nuttall, got ready to retire, by that time, my son Eric had come to work for us, and we were doing well in the business. We both really loved the business and enjoyed it. And so he offered me the opportunity to buy the rest of the Nuttall's business. And so decided that it would be a good business for our family, something that we both could enjoy. And then eventually, uh, I have 3 other children. They're not children now, but that came and started working for us. And the next thing you knew, that was our life. So we've it's kind of evolved over a span of about 40 years, and gone from some very simple, just kind of beginning. I always say, when I originally started with Nuttles, it was because I had 4 little kids at home, and it was nice to just go in the store and actually talk to adult people in full that spoke back to me in full sentences.
Sure.
So it was really my social outlet to begin with. Even though I was working there, I enjoyed the creativity of the job. I enjoyed the interaction with my coworkers. I enjoyed the customers that we worked with. And I realized that a lot of the same things that drew me to the business as an employee and eventually an owner are the same things that draw our customers there to shop with us. So I think it's just a really fun atmosphere. There's times when there's a little bit of drama, somebody's machine doesn't work or they're frustrated with something, but most of the time, if you can solve their problem, you're the hero. And what a great feeling to have that kind of a job where you can go and just really enjoy your day.
How, in general, has the sewing, quilting, and embroidery industry changed since you first got involved?
Well, I think quilting had not really even started when I was first involved. It was mainly garment making. Stretch and sew was a big name then. People would make clothing out of knits. That was kind of the craze at that time, and really quilting had not come on the market. I realized that what happened, I think, with quilting is quilting took us from a, a time in our life when, most women that sewed, they sewed to clothe their family, they sewed to clothe themselves. A lot of them sewed out of necessity, not necessarily out of creativity, but out of necessity. And quilting came along, and quilting was a very creative outlet. And people are willing to spend money when that money is being spent on something that they really enjoy. You spend what you have to spend when it's a necessity. When it's creativity, when it's your hobby, when it's something that you're enjoying, the cost seems to become secondary in a lot of cases. The pleasure that you get out of it seems to help you justify that cost. And I think that's one thing that quilting and then eventually embroidery has really brought to our industry, is that it's no longer an industry of need. People aren't participating in our industry because they need to survive. They're participating because it's fun. It's their hobby. It's what they enjoy. They love the social aspect of it. So I think it's really changed our industry and the whole focus.
Do you have a proudest moment in your career?
I think probably the proudest moment was as we've been transitioning to our kids be uh, involved in the business, seeing them grow, seeing them love what I've loved all my life and become involved and want to become involved. And I have no doubt in my mind that they'll probably take this business, you know, further than I ever could have imagined. That that has been very much uh, satisfaction to me. Earlier on in my career, I did have one time when I came to BU. We always, a lot of times you get to Bernina University and you talk about accomplishments and things that you've done and different things like that. And I had a particularly good year that year, and I remember this was back just barely after the machines started to sell for over $1,000. And that particular year, I had sold $500,000 retail in that year. And they were doing some BU, projects, things on the stage where they were talking about the potential of sales and stuff. And they brought up the fact that I had a year where that particular year I'd sold $500,000, and the group there in the venue uh, gave me a standing ovation, and that is something that I will never forget, was that recognition from my peers of a job well done. And I was on top of the world. I felt like, there wasn't anything I couldn't do if I put my mind to it.
Rhonda, what are your hopes for the future of your dealerships? I think you've alluded to that already a little bit.
My biggest hope and vision is that we continue to be in our market the support and the place that consumers look to for all of their sewing, quilting, and embroidery needs. I feel like we've got a very good long history. Nuttles is not my last name, so I kept the name from the previous owner. And part of the reason that I did was that he had been in business for several years before I came into the business. And it was a very well known business in the market area. People who bought their Bernina bought it from Nuttles. They just, that was just what you heard. And so when I talked about buying out the business, one of the things that was very important to me was keeping that name so that I could continue to have that tradition. And I actually had to sign an agreement that if I didn't meet certain criteria, that the right to keep the name Nuttall, because it was his last name, would be uh, taken away, because he felt like he wanted the tradition to go on, but in a very positive way. And I feel like we've done that, and I would like to see that continue. I'd like to see that happen with my kids. It's fun to see somebody come in the store and say, "Oh, my grandma bought her machine from Nuttles," or "I bought my first machine from Nuttles, years ago when I graduated from high school." Um, just to carry on that tradition and that, really keep the high level of customer service and support that I feel like we've worked hard to obtain over the years.
As our time at the Bernina Creative Center came to a close, it was clear that what makes this gathering truly special isn't just the machines or the materials, but the people. The passion, the dedication, and the unwavering support these women share for one another and for Bernina are what transform a brand into a beloved family. We want to extend our heartfelt thanks to everyone who shared their stories with us, as their insights, laughter, and wisdom made this experience unforgettable. And to all of you, we hope you felt the warmth, creativity, and inspiration that radiates from this special Bernina community. If you know someone you think has an outstanding story, a story that should be shared on this podcast, please drop me a note to meg@soandsopodcast.com or complete the form on our website. Be sure to subscribe to, review, and rate this podcast on your favorite platform, and visit our website, soandsopodcast.com, for more information about today's and all of our guests. That's SEWANDSO podcast.com. And finally, I want to thank Bernina for making this program possible. I'm Meg Goodman, and I look forward to you joining us next time on So and So.